So that was a pretty great speaker, Bill Barnett, just, thinking about, finding a mentor. And even him, he found the mentor and he was able to succeed as well. So we got a lined up panel discussion right now. We have a few people that are very, very, very successful in business. And we got a couple questions that we wanted to ask them. So we got 4 individuals that are going to come up here. So grateful for them taking some of their time out to do this. So we have the first person who is a part of the panel, and I want you to come up as we call out your name. You got Sandy Miller, who's out of Kentucky. So she didn't have to come here, but very successful. Sandy started in the business in 1980. Can you believe that? Got all these years of experience. Now, if there's somebody that you want to actually learn the business from and have seen all these different experiences throughout the years, it's Sandy. I was learning something growing up, and they said smart people learn from their own mistakes. Wise people learn from others. And I can get a chance to learn from years of all these different things that through life and all the successes, and she know what actually works. So Sandy, if you can come up, I appreciate it so much for coming. Yes. Thank you so much, Sandy.
I'm so old.
It's okay, Sandy. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And then we have Keenan Godfrey. Keenan actually comes out of the Macon, Georgia area. He comes from owning his own business, his own brokerage, and he left that brokerage and started in World Financial Group with Wealthwave. Well, because he saw something. So he got a lot of years of experience building a big team, senior marketing director out of Macon, Georgia. Can y'all welcome Keenan Godfrey? While Keenan is coming up, we also have Kim Schooler. Kim Schooler actually was the former president of our broker-dealer, Transamerica. Kim Schooler is the person who pioneered to position us to have more female financial advisors than any other company in the United States. So grateful. She is an attorney. She's a mom. And also she's a senior marketing director on her EBC run. So can you welcome Kim Schooler? The last person we have as a part of our panel, we have Tom Matthews. Now, can y'all imagine World Financial Group starting and they're using his actual license to get the company started? That's amazing. And he have produced over 1,000 six-figure income earner, more than any other leader in World Financial Group. Now, there's somebody who know how to build leaders, it's Tom Matthews. So he is the co-founder of World Financial Group, founder of Wealthwave, author of the How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker book with Steve Siebold. Welcome, Tom Matthews.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. You can have a seat. So I'm so grateful for y'all coming, and we had a couple of our leaders who have gave me a few questions that they had wanted to ask you, and because of your experience and your knowledge, we kind of want to start with Tom Matthews. Now, Tom, for you starting as a co-founder of World Financial Group, founder of Wealthwave, and us passing $1 billion in commission. This is not revenue. This is a company paying out that amount of money. That's a big operation. And in 20 years, become the biggest company, where there was some ingredients that caused the company to get that way. And this ingredient of being an entrepreneur. Can you speak to that, please?
I would say the first thing is that we were not just entrepreneurial, but we were for the consumer. And when you do something that's right for the consumer, if you work hard enough, it'll be big. And of course, our dream was to pay out $1 billion total, ever.
Wow.
And who knew that 20 years later we pay out $1 billion in 1 year, which is just unheard of, and 3 times the size of the next closest company like ours. So it's a big number, and what that means is a lot of families served. A lot of people get their finances straightened out. And
Mm.
one of the reasons I believe that happened is because of a team like ours that's driving sort of the core of it. And the message of financial literacy, financial education, us having the great tools that we do, from books to websites to videos to everywhere you turn, is all the classes we teach.
Mhm.
All those add up, and every time you talk to somebody, they become a pending client or a pending teammate or both. And when you do that for 2 or 3 years like we have, it drives things. And I know, because we do so much TV work, that most of WFG's following us. They're watching our TV shows, and there's not any other real TV shows out there, so
Mhm.
they're watching ours. And with our message being so consumerist, you know, every time you hear one of us talk, it's always about what we do for families.
Mm.
And all those things add up. But that's what gives you a chance, if you work hard, to pay out $1 billion and become big.
Do you think the writing of the book kind of helped to propel us to even move forward, even in the pandemic?
It did. Well, this is a business of words.
Mhm.
If you have the words, you can make a lot of money, as long as you work hard. If you don't have the words, you can work hard, you still won't do anything. So you gotta have the words. So we took the words of what we do for consumers and put it into a book. Why a book? Because a book has more credibility than a brochure. So brochures can be kind of written off as propaganda, but a book can't, especially one like that, where those are such timeless principles. That the interesting thing is, very little of that book changed in my 40 years doing this.
Mm.
You know, the math of the Rule 72 or the magic of compounding, that's exactly the same today as it was in the beginning. So all that makes a huge difference when you have those things going for you.
Nice. And Kim, I wanted to ask a question to you. I remember when we had a sit down here, the last time you was here, we were sitting against the wall, and you was talking about mentorship and how, Tom mentoring you played a major role, not as just a president of a company, but also, in business too as well. So, can you talk a little bit about how that have propelled you in business, having a person who was successful willing to mentor you?
It was so invaluable. I made the move from corporate to owning my own business on the financial side. And even though my corporate position was in the industry, I didn't know anything about working face to face with a client and trying to help them put together a plan for their financial needs. And so being able to sit down with Tom Matthews and just amazing leaders like Bill Barnett and Sandy Miller and Alvin Darien, who you all are going to hear from later, and Keenan Godfrey, being able to work not only as business partners and teammates, but mentors, and helping to kind of bridge that knowledge gap in working with people as clients, in talking to people about how money works. It's going from the corporate side to the business owner side was the best thing that I ever did in my life, but I really had to lean on mentors in order to have the right words and to know what to do, what's going to be the right fit for them. And I owe all of my success to being around such great people.
Awesome. Sandy, got a question for you as well. When you think about your experience in the linear system, versus WealthWave, talking about an agent, a broker, a GMO, and our system, WealthWave, what did you see, coming from that traditional system, direct system, and WealthWave? Like, what was the difference? What made you make that transition from owning a business and transition to ownership here as well?
That's a great question. In fact, I was thinking a little bit about it as Bill was speaking to you all earlier. I really loved the story that he told about McDonald's.
Mm.
And that's really essentially what attracted me, because I had been in that, general agency position. And if you compare it to McDonald's, it's like, starting as the fry person, making it up maybe to the assistant manager or manager, and there's just no other opportunity. That's your cap.
Mhm.
And, you know, your best fry people become the assistant manager and they go become manager in another restaurant. You're losing them. And I was constantly beating my head against the wall because my best agent would reach my level or want my level, and I couldn't give them my level. And that's what makes the secret sauce, as you will, with the difference here is that you have that opportunity, like Bill said, to start in fries and become the owner. And every one of your people can become an owner. Even some of them can become owners if you don't, you know, take advantage of that opportunity. And I've never seen anything like that. It was a breath of fresh air and worth all the sweat equity to become the owner.
Nice. Thank you for that, Sandy. Keenan, like when I think about, you know, your business and, you know, you own your own practice before coming to WealthWave and you working with corporate companies and then you saw WealthWave, you know, it was, you know, tell us a little bit like, what did you see? Like you must have saw something from dealing with corporate clients and the education system that WealthWave provided and the leverage of building a team. Like what made you make that transition to owning your business here as an SMD?
Well, it was not a easy process for me. It took a lot of really getting to understand what we have here. But once I understood what we have, I realized it's the most incredible thing I've ever seen in the industry. It gives you you know, first of all, we have the best leadership in the world with Tom Matthews, and he sets the bar to where someone in the industry, the level of standard that he set, it will attract those kind of people that can really wrap their head around our model. But so that was that. And then I had to understand exactly how it all worked. And to be honest, you know, when you're building a business on your own and you're the leader, you're you know, you're the chief cook and bottle washer, so to speak. You know, you have all the hats and it's lonely. And it is, you know, because if you do well, great, good for you. You know, pat yourself on the back. If you have a bad month, too bad. You know, keep going. But with having this model, the culture where you're mentoring others, and really, I really wanted to give back to the industry and really to help develop new leaders. I did want to have a bigger impact, and this model allows you to do that. You can, you know, I can be in more places at one time by distilling my knowledge and training new leaders and helping them to then pass that on. And now I've freed myself up, and plus I have a bigger business potential now. And with the How Money Works, the education system, my background was in retirement education, and that was something that I did for many, many years. I helped employees get educated on their retirement, and that approach generates lots of sales. And so when Tom came out with the book How Money Works and the whole education system, I was like, this is a formula to really dominate the industry, and I wanted to get positioned well ahead of that, because, you know, this is the time. Nobody even hardly knows about it. You know, at some point when you say How Money Works, it will be a household name, and they're like, yeah, I've seen that, or I've heard of WealthWave, and they'll come up to you because they want to be a part of what you're doing and they know what the brand stands for. And so I'm just blessed to be here and to be a part of the history that's being made in this industry.
Nice. And when I think about, you know, Sandy, and your business, you know, you do a lot of, you know, meeting with clients, doing financial needs analysis, and with your team, make it a case. Well, like, why is that so important? Like, you know, doing the full picture, you know, sitting down with a client and looking at all their aspect of what's going on their life. Like, why do that? It's like that's a cause that you always is talking about, making a case or doing F&A. Why is that so important? Financial needs analysis.
Well, I consider it critical, and the general industry is built on product pitching. I grew up in that industry. You know, you've got 1 or 2, 3 products that the company gives you, and you're going to do everything you can to make sure that that client is going to get one of those products in your book, but that's not always the best thing. You know, one of the very first things that was like, you know, mind blowing to me was I could have a client who maybe had a nationwide policy And in my previous business, I do everything to tell them how trashy that was, right?
Mhm.
Because I wanted them to have what I had, but that wasn't the right thing. And just with this partnership, I could become the agent of that existing contract and go on and build on that.
Mhm.
And, clients get in trouble. Tom was talking about one of the statistics is that last year, $1,600 was the amount that the average person lost due to financial illiteracy. And that's simply because they make those mistakes. They don't know. So, it's critical, and it's a mission, at least in my heart. And I know that, these leaders and many of you, to make sure that those 7 milestones are touched, that
Mhm.
they're doing all of the things, that we're looking at everything. I was speaking to someone last night who came up to me and it was asking me about the 6 steps, because I had done a podcast on 6 steps. Of course, we've added the
7.
big important one
Okay.
since then. But everything that we need to do from day one, the very first time we meet them, to 10 years later of them being a client, is always review those.
Mm.
It makes a difference in how we are perceived, what we offer and generate, right? And the success that they will have in their family.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Sandy. One of the questions that we have for you, Kim, like business owner, mom, and and we have some married couple here. We got some single moms that are just trying to build their business. Like what would you say of how to build this work-life balance with a business? You've been in the corporate side and transitioning to the field and having flexibility to grow your son, and how do you create that work-life balance with a family as well?
I get this question a lot from women, especially mothers, single moms, married moms, trying to have it all, a successful career or a great business, and take care of their family, and if they're married, their partner. And it's, I don't have the answer. The answer is what's going to work for you. What has worked for me is owning my own business. I worked in the corporate side for many, many years. I made it all the way to the top of the corporate ladder and served as president of one of the largest broker-dealers in the United States for Transamerica. I had less time to spend with my family when I made it up the corporate ladder than I did when I was in a middle management position. I had to travel a lot. I was that president 24/7. And so I couldn't be there for my son. I've got one son. I couldn't be there for him. And for me, that was the most important thing, to be the mom for him, not being, corporate president traveling all around the country, because Transamerica could certainly replace me in that role, but my son could never replace me as his mom. And so it was at that point that I made the decision to really take control over my time and to be flexible. So I took him to school every morning. I picked him up from school every day. And for those parents out there, that's the magic moment when they jump in your car and they will tell you everything for whatever reason. And then they clam up 20 minutes later, but you can get all kinds of great information from them. We had dinner together every night. He, went to the office with me after school. He did his homework while I finished up my day. And then when he went to bed at night, I worked on my emails and some other things. So that was the answer for me. But there is no one size fits all for everybody. You have to find what works best for you. And for me, having the ability to control my time was the key to being able to be the mom I wanted to be.
Yeah, I can so relate to what you just said, Kim. In the morning, I take my daughter to the bus stop every morning, and one of the things that we do is something called life lessons. And as we're going from 7 minutes, we talk about life lessons, and she's 10.
Yeah.
So I'm able to shape her mind at an early age why was I able to do that? Because I made a decision to go in business, and I had the courage to step out there on faith. And now, because of the mentorship, we was able to have those conversations. So I think about Sean Drake and his daughter when
Yeah.
COVID started,
Yeah.
and he made a decision because he was in business that he could have the flexibility to run a illegal daycare. So, so that, that's what our business is.
And I'll just say as a follow-up, my son is now 25.
Yep.
Graduated from college. He is a really happy, well-adjusted child, man. Now, but I was, as a single mom, I felt a lot of guilt, always working. I just felt a lot of guilt about that. And he started going out on interviews for jobs with his degree. And he said he got so many reactions from the employers about how poised he was and how he shook hands well and how he could answer questions. And he was just so comfortable in the corporate interview setting. And he said, it was my mom. She took me to work with her. And I got to see that. And he did. He came to meetings like this with me. He sat in the back of the room. He could recite the rule of 72 better than most people. And it was, I didn't realize that all along I was setting this example. It's about quality of time together. And he saw me working hard. And so I'm glad that I set that example for him. And it's really shown up in him now going out in the workplace.
Thank you for that, Kim. There was a question that we had for you, Tom, and there was someone that, you were I would say the best person at this point, right, to answer this question. And I remember having a conversation with you yesterday. You said, Mariko, I've helped, over, 1,000 people become a six-figure income or, go, and have success in our business. And there are people in our audience that are listening, and they kind of want to know, what do it take to to go full time? What are those ingredients that they should do maybe on a daily basis or be thinking about or working towards or using the book? Like, how does somebody make that transition?
Well, I think it's the amount of time you're willing to dedicate to this. How hard are you willing to work? Are you willing to be on time? When I say on time, if you decide your business day is going to be from 9 to 5, just say that. You can't start at 9:30. You got to start at 8:30 because you're hungry and you're driven, and you got to be early. You got to be on time. You got to drive this, and the amount of calls that you make, the contacts, the follow-ups, all those things. The most important number is the next one. It's always got to be one more. And when I got started, I made myself a huge prospect list and wrote names and numbers on it, and I started contacting people. And I don't know how many I did today because I just did it so I couldn't do one more. If I could do one more, I did one more. If I could start 1 minute earlier, I started 1 minute earlier. If I could go 1 minute later, I did 1 minute later. And all of that adds up to today. And I was talking to my daughter, Kristen, the other day, who works in our office, and she got there early, and I said, you didn't be here for 30 minutes. She goes, no, early's on time. And that's weird, but that's how I do it too. And you can't always do it because sometimes the schedule or something will happen, but for the most part, it's a philosophy that you got to live by. You get there early, and you're the first one to unlock the door in the morning, and you're the last one to lock it at night. And if you'll do that long enough with enough passion, you will win. And nobody ever misses that does that. The ones that miss are the ones that come in late, fool around, don't pay attention, don't make hardly any calls, don't follow up. And you never know. I crystal clear in my mind remember writing down Bill Mitchell's name and his phone numbers, because the phone number back then was a place, not a person. So I had his home and his office number, and I tracked him down. And I said, hey, what's up? And I said, well, I don't know if I told you not, but I put it on him. And I could tell it wasn't perfect timing for him, but it was perfect timing for me. So I kept right on going. I act like I didn't hear what he said. And something I said resonated with him to where we had another conversation. Most people don't know that we set up 5 appointments for him to meet with me, and he no-showed 5 times. And the 6th,
Mm,
he showed up.
Wow.
And, now he's a big chunk of our business. And so what if I didn't make that call the 6th time? What if I said, that loser can't show up?
mm,
And by the way, I did say that to him, so buddy. So you know, dude, what are you doing? So some people don't show up sometimes, or they get busy, or if something came up, but you follow up because you're after it, And he was gonna have to tell me no 4 or 5 times, and that's my mindset. One no is just a conversation that started to me. No means not yet. That's all I hear. You can say no pretty strongly, and I'll say not yet to myself. What have you seen this? And I just keep right on going. And here we are.
yeah. Wow. Amazing. Keena, I had a question for you too as well. Being that you have been in the business side, corporate side, as you were running your business, what have been success of, I guess networking with other professionals and people that you're trying to get into? But you have people on your team in government, you got people, from other industries, all on your team. Like, what has been the key to bringing on so many different types of people?
Well, I would say that it is largely from the fact that we have such a professional offer, and it's really about conveying what we actually have to people, and so that they understand it and that they resonate with that. And I use all of the videos that we have, like the Future of series is really powerful, and where they can get exposure to the business without a sales pitch. And so I don't do a lot of that. I do, sometimes we have even the educational presentations. Those are great for with the new elements. It just kind of mentions it. It's like, here's an opportunity to help educate people. So some people will resonate with the mission, which is very powerful. Educate financial literacy, financial education. I mean, that opens up so many doors to people, because they know that this is not something that they've been taught, and they don't know where to go to get it. And some people can make the connection and say, oh, this is something that's needed. I could be a part of delivering that. And oh, by the way, there's a lot of compensation attached to doing that. But it is, networking, your network is your net worth. So, that's part of, success just in general. So you've got to become somebody that is referable, somebody that wants to be, that has a network, and you're building your network, and as you're connecting with people, then don't ever forget them. Pick up the phone and call them, again and again, just touch base with them. And one of my strategies for doing that is, I'm connected to 5,000 people on LinkedIn, so that's a lot of people to get through, but, and they may or may not know what I do. They may or may not know about WealthWay. And what I love about the TV that we have, the WealthWay Media, is that there's always something new to share with someone. Oh, look, we just came out with this thing on accounting. Hey, we just came out with this thing on nursing, and I just send them an interview, and then I said, what do you think about that? And I start talking to them. We just came out with the book. I mean, there's, it's just amazing that we have constantly so much, relevant information to share with people. So I just become a resource.
Nice. And it sounds like you use the word leverage. You leverage everything you can.
Absolutely.
Credibility, book, technology, leaders. So sound like the key to your success is leveraging.
Absolutely.
One of the things I was going to ask you, Sandy, is you've been very successful because you're a certified financial educator, and you got certified to do that. And what the Heartland program allows a person to do is to go into a business and provide education to all their employees. And, it was, you kind of leading the way and, wanting to do that. And then I always hear you talking about it. You just landed another, company that would allow you and your team to come in and provide education. Like, why did you become a certified financial educator? Was it the education itself, and then it seems like so many people are allowing you to come in and teach their employees.
Well, it's a credential that sets you apart,
Mhm.
you know, so it was worth the time to go through that with Heartland, first and foremost. And since we're in the education business, to me, I just kind of like, I felt like if I'm selling education, I want to say, I'm certified to sell you this education
Mhm.
program. And, you know, employers, they're busy, they're running their companies, and you need just that 1 second to get something that separates you from everyone else that's, you know, constantly pounding on them. And, you know, one of the things that I told my team is, you know, it's a waste of time to go after the 401k. You know, 401ks are a pain in the butt to change once an employer has that in. So don't waste your time pounding on the doors trying to change somebody's 401. Come in, that's what everyone else does. You know, watch what they're doing, learn what they're doing, turn around and do the total opposite, which is what we decided to do, which is come in and say, you know, all those employees that you have in that 401, how many of them really bother you all the time because they don't know a darn thing about it? You know, especially like how many of them constantly need password resets because they can't even get into the darn thing. We are going to come here and educate them and give them a foundation. And we're going to be a resource. We're going to meet the ERISA requirements and all the things that you need to do. And oh, by the way, we might even actually help you build up the participation in that 401.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sandy. Two more questions and we're, you know, wrapping this up. Kim, like you have been around leaders, you are a leader. What do you see that makes a good leader? Because everybody has some type of influence. What would you see that dynamic of a becoming of a leader or a leader?
You know, that's a really interesting question. I've done a lot of thinking about that over the last several days when you talked to us about, you know, being part of this meeting. And, you know, on the corporate side, you're taught to be a really good manager, or you're brought up to be groomed to be a really great manager, which is about giving direction and focusing on the company's goal. And you really don't have your own individual vision, or you can't really, you can rally your team around a corporate goal or a corporate task, but you really can't rally them about something that's kind of beyond what, just like purpose. Like there are these, you know, targets that corporations have, but there's no real kind of purpose from within. And as leaders of our own businesses, as part of Wealthway, we have this great ability to make a difference, to be of significance, to have impact around us, not just in our own lives or affecting a corporate goal. And that is an amazing thing that we can do in this business that no title I had on the corporate side ever gave me the opportunity to do. And so it takes a different kind of mindset, and it's all about leadership. So you've got this vision and you've got this purpose and this ability to affect change, and becoming a leader to help people see that and help people work with you towards what that is beyond a corporate target, you know, changing people's lives. It's about, and we spoke about this yesterday, being a servant leader, supporting people, empowering people. Leadership is not being the one with all the power. That's more management. Leadership is about empowering those people around you to, you know, see the vision or have their own vision and accomplish things that are just beyond what they thought was imaginable. And spending time with Tom Matthews, I mean, I never dreamed of the things that he's kind of implanted in my head about, you know, being a leader and stretching and thinking beyond what, you know, a corporate goal or target might be. And we'll talk about this later today.
Mhm.
But it is an amazing thing to know and imagine that you can affect change in your lives, in your community. You can affect change in the world. I mean, one of the things that I envision about the How Money Works book is Tom Matthews and Steve Siebold receiving a Nobel Prize for changing financial literacy in the world. Now that is nothing you would ever think about on the corporate side. But that's something that we can do here. We can change a lot of things once we get people right with their money.
And Tom, last question, and we're just wrapping up, finishing with you. Can you speak to coming to Atlanta, being a part of Green Carpet Day or Leadership Live, and the magic of coming and being around that environment? The second best thing is always watching it live stream, but I don't know if everybody know about Green Carpet Day. Can you speak to that?
Well, sure. I started in Cincinnati back a long time ago, and I had a couple really sharp guys that joined our team, and I wanted them to see something bigger than just my local office. And I had a nice office like this one, and they were very impressed with our office, but I knew there was more they could see. So I contacted our leader at the time. This is in 1993, and I brought 5 people in my car to Atlanta. And we met with the founder of our company at the time and some of the home office people, and they saw a bigger picture, and they all said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm here." And so I thought, I'm gonna do that again. And before you know it, we called them red carpet days back then. We had lots of people coming, went from a car to a van to a bus to plane loads. As we got bigger, at one point we had 1,500 people coming live to watch it, in a room. Of course, that was in the 90s, and we didn't record things, and it wasn't broadcast anyway. So if you missed it, you missed it forever. And if you weren't paying attention for a second, you missed it forever. Whereas today, you can come see it live. Last Friday, we had 200 people in our studio. So that was cool. Then, but you can watch it, remotely. Alvin's in the room with us. Alvin had 82 people in a restaurant with 4 big screens set up. And Alvin and Candace had this event around the message, and they got to watch it live, but they were remote. And then Alvin was telling me he still had 5 or 10 that showed up at our office anyway because they wanted to be there live. And if you've never seen a live TV show, it's very impressive. Just the lights and cameras and just all the things that go into that. And then people can watch it on demand. They can watch it live on demand or later on demand. And we had thousands of people do that. So we ended up impacting a few thousand people during a live event, just like we did a long time ago. But this did something that one can never do. And that's that every day since then, we've had between 1,000 and 2,000 more people watch it. And by the time a month goes by, we'll have 25 or 30,000 people have been impacted by that message. One other fascinating note is that about half the people watch it 2 or 3 times. So what does that tell you? They didn't catch it the first time. So live meetings are great, but you can't redo a live meeting. It's only live once, unless you have it on video.
True.
And then people can watch it. And it's so seeing the big picture, meeting the people, being part of the events before, during, and after. It's all part of it. If I had an important guest that I wanted to really see the big picture, I'd get them to Atlanta. I'd sit next to them the night before for dinner. I'd have breakfast with them. I would be with them in the event. I would make sure that everything was going on. I'm whispering in their ear. Can you believe that? Oh my gosh. And I'd be translating everything. Oh, you're going to love this one. And I'd be just driving them crazy. And then we'd go have dinner afterwards. And then I'd make sure they felt special and go back. And they're in your business then. And we did that over and over and over and over. And I'll tell you, for whatever reason, nobody else in the company's doing that. They're just not. They have a Tuesday night meeting. Some do, well, of course, that kind of interrupted with COVID, but they have a Tuesday night meeting or a Saturday meeting. Some have a Thursday night meeting, but they're not that kind of meeting. Not with production, not with the kind of presentations you see, these slides that are prepared. not the same one over and over and over, but different ones with different messages that resonate with different people. There's been messages that these three have delivered during Green Carpet Day that are still available today, that have made a huge difference in people's careers, where they heard that message and it resonated with them and made the decision to become part of this.
Awesome. Well, everybody, give yourself a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Tom, Tim, Sandy, Tina. So appreciative for the.
Great job.
Thank you.